you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. A people without knowledge of their past, history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. Liberate the minds of men, and ultimately you will liberate the bodies of men. Men who are earnest, but not afraid of their consequences.
They try to put my soul in a black hole, but didn't realize this melanin is gold. That's why I shine with this little light of mine.
All right. Time to get it. You're now tuned into Civics for the Culture, hosted by me, Bennie, aka Poeticlee Williams III. And this is here on Watch LOTUS X. And remember, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a politician. However, I'm someone just like you that has access to information to research and to become more educated on the system that we're in, and that laws and man, how can we say there's so much that's set up as a brown or black person in America. There's so many things that are set up to go against the grain of your lifestyle, of your well-being. And we have to be wise, and we have to be strategic on how we move so that we can evolve our generation, so that we can move forward as a culture, so we can be progressive in our thinking, and we can be progressive in who we are and the nature of who we are as people, and not be suppressed by a system that once enslaved us, that once just wanted to control and manipulate our lifestyle, our mindset. And we have to rise above that. And that's what Civics of the Culture is. We're going to do throughout the week, not daily, but throughout the week, every week, dropping jewels and dropping gems of history through cases, through different groups and organizations and events in this country that have hindered Black people, so we can be wise about it. But there are also events and organizations that have revolutionized the way we think and revolutionized the way that we should move as a culture together, and bringing a spotlight to those organizations so that we can know how they moved, because a lot of organizations, some have members that have been arrested sentences 30, 60 years in prison, or maybe even life. And the how organizations run for the long term sometimes depends on where those elders are, depending on who was able to keep it rolling. So we want to bring light to those organizations so that maybe a new spark of life can flame through them. So that's what we want to do. However, today, what we're going to do is we're going to go over a case, which I think is an interesting time to be in, right? We have a lot of tensions, and we have a lot of trendiness now to say Black Lives Matter. We have a lot of uprising for people to now want to listen to Black people. Now more than ever, they want to listen to Black people. And I will tell you, that is privilege right there. Privilege is not only being able to have the conversation when you want to have the conversation. Privilege is then being able to have the conversation in ways that you want to have conversations and feel how it makes you feel. But we're not doing that now. We're going to have conversations that are going to make you feel uncomfortable. We're going to have conversations that are going to make you, that maybe make you upset. We're going to have conversations that are going to sometimes make you cry. They're going to make you feel sad. They're going to make you feel depressed. And that's the point. That is the point, because where we've been as a nation has been depressing. Great Depression as a Black person has been throughout time here in this country. So we're now getting to a point where the bubble is bursting, and within that, this whole idea of white Black, that mindset of white Black, there was this once thing of a case called Loving v. Virginia. We're going to talk about this case. We're going to read through it because I think it's an interesting time for interracial couples. And I think it's an interesting time of responsibility of who you are, and being able to have conversation about who you are, and being able to educate people on who you are. It's not a time to continue to be somebody else because that was safe. It's not a time to continue to be playing somebody else's game because that was safe. It's not a time to continue to live in a system that benefits other people and not truly who you are because it's safe. Those times are over. If you don't feel it, you will feel it, because it will come for you. And these are times to talk about our interracial couples. Look, people are going to love who they're going to love, right? However, there is this mindset in this country where you have people deny other people. Let's say you have black people deny their own people because of where they feel, because of how they may look down on other black people. Who are you? Who are you? You may have people think they can be with a white person because it's going to accelerate their status. You know, love, you're going to love who you're going to love. However, there is this mindset in this country because of how things have to move and how the game is structured, where, hey, I want to be with this person right here because I don't, because this group, black people may not be doing it for you. Why not? Ask yourself, why not? Why not, as a person of your own culture, someone that you can really relate to through a struggle? Yeah, white people, all people go through different types of struggle. However, there's a different type of struggle being a black person that goes beyond internal, because it starts with external a lot for us. It starts with external a lot for us. So, people are gonna love who they're gonna love. I gotta say that because you can't get the message mixed with people are gonna love who they're gonna love versus, okay, why am I really in this relationship? You know? And I think that's a great question, because then if it is really about love, you now have an opportunity to educate each other truly and truly be this essence of free and not confined in a system where you still feel controlled, not only by the system, by the partner you're with. Saying something. All right, so the case Lovin v. Virginia was a legal case, and I'm going to read this case from Britannica, and yeah, let's get into it. Lovin v. Virginia, a legal case decided on June 12, 1967, in which the U.S. Supreme Court unanimously 9-0 struck down state. Hold 1 second. How do we say this word? You know, sometimes we're going to have to look up how we say these, how we say these words that we run across. Miscegenation. So anti-miscegenation. All right, so we'll start over. Lovin v. Virginia, legal case decided on June 12, 1967, in which U.S. Supreme Court unanimously 9-0 struck down state anti-miscegenation. Oh man, I'm screwing that word up. Miscegenation statutes in Virginia as unconstitutional under equal protection. So let's first off, I don't want to just read things without actually giving you a understanding what that word is. So miscegenation. We're going to get that down pat. Miscegenation. Marriage or cohabitation by persons of different race. So theories that the so just going into miscegenation, marriage or cohabitation by persons of a different race. So if you see that right here, so struck down state anti-miscegenation statutes in Virginia as unconstitutional under the equal protection and due process clauses of the 14th Amendment. So we're going to get, that was a lot packaged in that first paragraph. So Lovin v. Virginia, legal case decided on June 12, 1967, in which U.S. Supreme Court unanimously 9-0 struck down state anti-miscegenation statutes in Virginia as unconstitutional under equal protection and due processes clauses of the 14th Amendment. So, as you probably wonder, what is the equal protection, right? This is a lot that had to do with for the equal protection in the United States law, the constitutional guarantee that no person or group will be denied the protection under the law that is enjoyed by similar persons or group. So we'll have a show on equal protection because that's a very, very important thing to understand. However, let's get back into the story. So once again, Lovin v. Virginia, a legal case decided on June 12, 1967, where U.S. Supreme Court unanimously 9-0 struck down on state anti-miscegenation. We're going to get that word down. Anti-miscegenation statutes in Virginia as unconstitutional under the equal protection and due process clauses of the 14th Amendment. So the case arose after Richard Loving, a white man, and Mildred Jeter, a woman of mixed Black and Native American ancestry, traveled from their residences in Central Point, Virginia, to Washington, D.C., to be married on June 2nd, 1958. Having returned to Central Point, they lived in the home of Mildred's parents, while Richard, a construction worker, built a new house for the couple. In July 1958, police entered the Lovings' bedroom in early morning hours and arrested them for having violated the state's ban on interracial marriage. At a hearing in the Virginia state court in January 1959, the Lovings pleaded guilty to having violated Section 2058 of the Virginia State Code, which prohibited white person and a colored person from leaving the state to be married and returning to live as man and wife. Interesting. Let me read that one more time. Virginia State. So Lovings pleaded guilty to having violated Section 2058 of the Virginia State Code, which prohibited a white person and a colored person from leaving the state to be married and returning to live as man and wife. Section 2058 specified that punishment for violation of the law confinement in the state confinement in the state penitentiary for 1 to 5 years. Sheesh. So marrying couples right now that you black and white couples that are together right now. There was once upon a time in Virginia State Code which prohibited a white person and a colored person from leaving the state to be married, and because you couldn't be there to be married and returning to live as man and wife. Section 2058 specified that punishment for violation of the law confinement in state penitentiary for 1 to 5 years should be the same as that provided in Section 2059, which prohibited marriage between white and colored persons. So not only was it a violation to be married as white and black, it was also a violation to leave and then you think you're going to come back married. Nah, that's not going to happen. That right there is not going to happen. You definitely not going to do that. Now, you may wonder the term white person. The term white person was defined in Section 2054 as a person with no other admixture of blood other than white and American Indian. Interesting. American Indian, a little bit of American Indian, nothing more than that than white, and you're proven as a white person. Interesting. You need that native blood, huh? Provided that, the term white person was defined in Section 2054 as a person with no other admixture of blood other than white and American Indian, provided that the amount of Indian blood was 1/16 or less. Sections 2059 and 2054 were derived from provisions of the States Act to Preserve Racial Integrity, adopted in 1924. So, Negro persons, any Negro blood, you're black. All right. So and that was basically to preserve racial integrity, adopted in 19. Oh man, that'd be a good show right there. Talk about racial integrity. What does that truly mean? All right. The judge sentenced the Lovings to 1 year in jail, but suspended the sentence on the condition that the couple leave the state immediately and not return as man or wife for a period of 25 years. Having established residence in Washington, D.C., the Lovings filed a suit in the Virginia State Court in November 1963, seeking to overturn their convictions on the grounds that sections 2058 and 2059 were inconsistent with the 14th Amendment. After the state, and so, all right, we're going to get into what the 14th Amendment too is, but if you want to do some research, you want to do a little bit of homework right now in the middle of the show, definitely go see what the 14th Amendment is. Moving forward, after the state court rejected the Lovings' challenge, the case was accepted for review by Virginia's appeals, which upheld the constitutionality of 2058 and 2059, but voided the sentences because the condition under which they were suspended was, in its view, unreasonable. So that should tell you something right there. Do they man, talk about being hypocritical. Citing its earlier decision in Nam versus Nam in 1965, which we'll have to read about that case. The appeals court ruled that despite the statute's use of racial classifications to define the criminal offenses in question, neither statute violated the guarantee of equal protection of the laws because the penalties they impose applied equally to both white and colored persons. So the Lovings then appealed the case to the U.S. Supreme Court, which heard oral arguments on April 10th, 1967. Writing for a unanimous court, Chief Justice Earl Warren first dismissed the NIAM court's reading of the Equal Protection Clause, declaring that we reject the notion that the mere equal application of a statute containing racial classifications is enough to remove the classifications from the 14th Amendment's proscription of all invidious racial discriminations. So these racial discrimination, people that want to hate on these relationships, that whatever may anger them. He rejected Virginia's contention that the constitutionality of the statutes, given their presumptive compatibility with the Equal Protective Clause, should depend solely on whether they served a rational purpose, a question best left to the wisdom of the state legislature. Warren's opinion was also notable for his affirmation of the freedom to marry as one of the basic civil rights of man, fundamental to our very existence and survival, citing the Supreme Court's decision in Skinner v. Oklahoma 1942. To deny this freedom on so unsupportable a basis as the racial classifications embodied in these statutes, Warren contended would be to deprive all the state citizens of liberty without due process of law. The Supreme Court's ruling overturned the Lovings conviction and had the effect of invalidating laws against interracial marriage in 15 other states. So now that brings me to asking the question to couples that are, and so interracial couples that are going through this time period, and they're experiencing something different, right? But as we all experiencing the weight of this country, the weight of the veil being lifted over our eyes of how raw this country really is. Even though we've experienced it, the fact that you can now have the conversation about it opens up wounds that you may have had to cover before, right? As a Black person, it feels like a heavy time because you're opening up wounds, you're opening up conversations that you had to sweep stuff you had to just sweep under the rug before. Because once again, going back to privilege. Privilege is when you can have the conversation, when you decide you're ready to have the conversation. This conversation wasn't happening 5, 10, 20 years ago. 20 years ago on a public platforms where white men, white women want to actually shut up and listen. Maybe in private circles, maybe a few people here and there, but on a general basis, on a public forum and on a public push and move, this is something new. This is something cracking right here. So I asked interracial couples. The reason I did this show was first to give a little history about how you would have been affected some time ago and what that really means. If there was a law that prohibited you two to be together, and now you can be together, what does that really mean? What is that saying to you? What is that saying to you about who you are as a man, Black or white man? What is that saying to you as a Black or white woman? And what is your responsibility now moving forward if you are together? I think, you love who you want to love, right? That's gonna take over. You can't help it sometimes. You can't deny it. She looking good. You looking good, but really going down to understand why we're in this together and what impact that can have on the world because of the image that we hold together. Once you hold those hands beyond those doors, it means something more than just love. There's a responsibility that you may feel like comes with it or comes not, or it doesn't come with it. However, we're in a time that we all have a responsibility. And it goes past and what we may just feel inside. Starts with how we look out here, because now how we look out here everyone is now woke up a little bit. I'm not gonna say everyone, but now a lot of people waking up to really, what is this? What is this on the external? What is this on the external, and why is this divide been made? Interracial couples, you have a great responsibility for your children, for people around you, the youngest around you, the elders around you, because a lot of people that are older are not going to understand it at times. This isn't time to feel offended if you're in relationships. This isn't time to shut down in relationships. This is time to talk more than ever. When we talk about relationships, those interracial relationships, this is the time more than ever for you to have real uncomfortable conversations if you already haven't had them. Now, a lot of you probably already had them. Nice. Time to keep spreading it. Time to even go even deeper and to keep learning. We're all learning here. I'm learning. I'm steady learning. I don't know it all. Shoot, if I'm with black relationships, we still got to learn. So interracial relationships, without a doubt, still have to learn. And this is a time to really have uncomfortable conversations, because this is an uncomfortable time. So we can rise and we can be more educated. That's what Civics of the Culture is. Once again, hosted by me, Bennie, aka Poetically Williams. And look, my eye this whole time has been watery, but we made it through. We made it through. And I appreciate you. So you're listening here on Watch LOTUS X. Follow me at Poeticlee, Poeticlee. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a politician, but I'm someone just like you that can have access to information to stay educated so we can rise up out of this system. Until next time.